Amy Chua, Political Tribes, Group Instinct and the Fate of Nations. Understanding the powerful human instinct of forming tribes and the impact of such groupings on modern society and politics is critical in navigating the complexities of our world. In Political Tribes, Group Instinct and the Fate of Nations, Amy Chua provides insight into the tribal dynamics that underlie politics, both domestically and internationally. By exploring the many forms of tribes, the diverse factors that bring people together and the consequences of ignoring tribalism, Chua highlights the importance of recognizing and accounting for our inherent group instincts. Delve into the summary of this thought-provoking book to learn about market-dominant minorities, the significance of tribalism in shaping global events, and the role of identity politics in exacerbating divisions within countries like the United States.
The Power of Tribalism. Humans are instinctively tribal creatures who are driven by a strong sense of group identity. Tribes are not just about inclusion but also exclusion and are based on a shared bond such as ethnicity, religion, political beliefs, or commonalities. Tribalism changes the way members think about the world and makes them more willing to do things for the benefit of the group. However, tribalism is often overlooked in foreign policy, particularly in the view that nations are homogeneous. This mistake can have devastating long-term consequences. Tribal identities frequently trump allegiance to nation-states, and foreign policy that neglects this fact can be detrimental. In understanding how to deal with countries, it is crucial to understand and consider the power of tribalism. Market-dominant minorities and tribal tensions. In many nations, market-dominant minorities, or tribes that control most of a country's resources despite being minorities, are a major source of tribal tensions. Such tribes' disproportionate wealth often leads to resentment from poorer majorities. However, overthrowing market-dominant minorities can lead to political instability and further tensions, as seen in Venezuela and Afghanistan. Western powers often intervene to help the majority tribe take power through democratic elections, but this can breed new troubles, as the majority may oppress the minority or the minority may try to destabilize the new regime. Navigating the transition from a market-dominant minority to democratic institutions is complex and requires policymakers to consider tribal relations. The dangers of ignoring tribal politics. The United States foreign policy is often driven by honorable motives that seek to propagate its cherished values. However, historical mistakes prove that ignorance of tribal politics presents a significant obstacle. A prime example is the Vietnam War, where the United States misjudged the true motives of the Vietnamese people. Contrary to popular belief, the conflict was not simply a battle between communism and capitalism but was rooted in the desire of the Vietnamese to liberate themselves from a market-dominant minority, in this case, the Chinese. China controlled much of the import and trade sectors of the Vietnamese economy, making the war profitable for the Chinese minority. The American involvement in the war, therefore, alienated their Vietnamese supporters and sabotaged their war effort. The lesson here is that ethnic tribal identity is more powerful than economic ideology, and ignoring this reality can have disastrous consequences. The unforeseen consequences of the Iraq War. The United States' misplaced assumptions and flawed post-war planning led to a power vacuum filled by forces worse than the previous regime. Former powerful officials went underground to fight a guerrilla war, leading to the establishment of ISIS. The decision to subordinate the old regime's officials destroyed their hopes of maintaining their positions, leaving them humiliated and powerless, resulting in their eventual claw back to power by force. The U.S. could have predicted this by paying greater attention to the power struggle between different tribal groups in Iraq. Tribalism and Terrorism. Within the pages of this book, readers learn how foreign policy miscalculations by American politicians led to the rise of two of the most powerful terrorist groups active today. Al-Qaeda and ISIS emerged, in part, due to the neglect of political tribalism and the power it can have in shaping dissent. Tribal leaders that know how to leverage tribalism to advance their own agenda emerged as the leaders of these groups. When tribal power is undermined, well-educated and wealthy members of tribes may organize around a common initiative to cultivate their tribal strength. Disenfranchisement is a central driver of tribalism, and ethnic minorities may seek out larger tribes in response. For Muslims in Western countries, discriminatory treatment after terrorist attacks can cause a sense of isolation and disenfranchisement. This can make them more susceptible to the sense of inclusive belonging offered by terrorist groups. This book is a must-read for anyone interested in the causes behind contemporary terrorism. The rise of political tribalism in America. In America, political tribalism is causing unprecedented divisions within the country. Identity politics, which uses the lens of race rather than class, is partly to blame. The shift towards identity politics has caused a sense of disenfranchisement among working-class whites, leading to the rise of a new tribe based on ethnicity and class. Donald Trump's election can arguably be seen as a result of this sea change in American politics. The working-class majority that supported Trump believes that the American dream is no longer within their reach, and they blame the coastal elite for their woes. At the heart of the coastal elite are university-educated, cosmopolitan, and middle-class Americans, who are generally left-leaning but also include Republicans who've lost touch with Middle America. The effect is two hostile tribes that have emerged, pouring scorn on each other and retreating deeper into their respective tribal identities. Overcoming tribalism. Overcoming tribalism is necessary for a peaceful world. In the United States, understanding different tribes is crucial, as tribalism is prevalent in many aspects of society. It is counterproductive and unfair to categorize Trump voters as uncultured hillbillies since millions of Americans feel anxious about the country's changing state. The country's poorest citizens are united beyond race by the prosperity gospel religious movement, which also supported Trump. Overcoming tribalism requires reaching out to others and recognizing their fears and concerns. Fortunately, since Trump's election, many Americans have started to reach out to their fellow citizens, despite tribal divisions.
In conclusion, Political Tribes sheds light on the vital role that tribalism plays in shaping both domestic and international politics. Amy Chua argues that neglecting or misunderstanding the powerful human instinct to form tribes can lead to unfortunate consequences, as evidenced by the rise of terrorist groups, the tumultuous aftermath of the Iraq War, and the deep divisions plaguing American society. By examining the complex dynamics of tribes and the factors that both unite and exclude, we can better navigate the volatile landscape of political tribalism and work towards fostering understanding and cooperation amongst groups. Ultimately, acknowledging our tribal nature and embracing empathy for other tribes will help pave the way for a more peaceful and cohesive world.